Hey, Slick Talkers, thank you so much for tuning into this podcast. And I know that if you love this show, you'll also love my morning show called Good Morning Hospitality with my co hosts Michael Golden and Brandy Canali, as we spend 30 minutes every Monday morning to dive into the industry's top latest news and trending topics. So go check it out on wherever you find your podcasts at Good Morning Hospitality. And you can live stream with us on Monday mornings on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and of course, YouTube. Now, I hope you enjoy this episode.
Welcome to Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast where we discuss all things hospitality, hotels, and business. You can find us online at slicktalkthepodcast.com and on every podcast listening platform.
What up, all my Slick Talking fans out there for hotels, travel, and business? Welcome back to this episode of Slick Talk, the hospitality podcast. Sleeping in on Slick Talk, whatever you want to call it. I appreciate everybody tuning in for this week's episode. I know I've taken quite a break. Had a good little streak, but life catches up. Business, busyness, all that kind of stuff. So thank you guys again for tuning in. I'm super excited. Just kind of talking about the industry, some changes, some stuff going on, and kind of just giving a quick episode out here. I really want to talk about Accor Hotels, or just Accor now as they rebranded recently. Some updates, not really an update because not much info is out on this accusation, or sorry, not accusation, but I don't know, I guess purchase, you could say, for Airbnb purchasing Hotels Tonight, which I personally don't like OTAs at all. For those who don't know what OTA is, an OTA is a other travel agency or outside travel agency, whatever you want to say. Different terms, different people. And so Airbnb already, pretty much from my understanding and prediction of where it's going, it's going to be the number one travel site across all platforms, where Airbnb, started out as a couch surfing type company to vacation rentals, from vacation rentals to hotels, and now they've purchased, or are in the middle of a purchase of acquiring Hotels Tonight, which is an OTA, where you can book instant discounted rooms for hotels, last minute bookings, and not many details are out other than they're still in the process. They haven't even put out a number of what it's going to cost for Airbnb to acquire Hotels Tonight. So this should be an interesting change in the industry, because I personally don't like OTAs, but this OTA specifically I've actually attempted to use and have kind of used a little bit for future trips I have coming up. And so, interesting story. Looking forward to more popping out soon. Accor Hotels, which is now rebranded to Accor, and Expedia Group have sat down and kind of in a little convention and talked about their differences, but also the same opinion they have. Accor in the last 2 years has done a lot of purchases and a lot of growth in brand by bringing on different properties and acquiring different properties in the last 2.5 years or so. And now they're on the point of focusing on guest loyalty, which this has been a big topic in the last few years, but I think is really becoming a bigger focus, I think, for all hoteliers across the world, whether they're boutique, name brand or not, is focusing on the direct bookings and guest loyalty. And so Accor Hotels, now Accor, is forming their own loyalty program, or reforming their own loyalty program, I guess you could say, called All. And so this is really going to focus on the direct bookings, guest loyalty, rewards, kind of like Marriott, SPG, and Ritz-Carlton. And they're going to really be focusing on that, which is huge, because the last few years, these main brands, specifically Hilton. Hilton's been doing a killer job in growing these numbers of direct bookings and guest loyalty with their recent campaign the last year or two. There's a specific name. I don't have all my notes in front of me. This episode's kind of just on the whim because I really wanted to get this out there and just talk about I don't know, for me, this is exciting. This is the stuff that I live for as a hotelier, as a podcaster, as a person in the industry, really seeing the change and finally seeing the big names kind of take charge. And so Hilton really been focusing on their direct bookings, has been killing it. Their revenue increase has been insane. And now other brands are starting to follow suit. And I loved the conversation between Accor and Expedia Group. And yes, there's a lot of differences. I personally not a fan of Expedia. They have, I think, a good idea with how they started their company, giving better discounts. But when you're shopping for a hotel room, when you're shopping for your trip, a lot of the hotels that pop up when you type in hotels in Seaside, Oregon, or hotels in Miami, Florida, or Orlando, Florida, or whatever you're looking to get a hotel room, a lot of the hotels that pop up on your news feed or your internet search are going to be through OTAs, Booking.com, Expedia, TripAdvisor, Hotels.com, etc. You're going to see a lot of them through those OTAs, those discounted rates that they have through them. And so the conversation really just went with that there's three different groups. So of course, you have your big brands, the big players, the beasts, the monsters that are going to continue to have that guest loyalty because they've put their time, they put a lot of history into the travel industry overall. And so, of course, Hilton, Marriott, SPG, Ritz-Carlton, a couple other groups that are kind of surfacing to become those bigger names, really are in player one group. Player two, you're going to have a little bit smaller. You're going to have your Best Westerns, your Holiday Inns, your Quality Comfort Inns, Choice Hotels, all those name brands in bucket number two. And then, of course, bucket number three, you're going to have your boutiques, your mom and pop shops, your coastal experiences, your maybe hotels that are based off a specific city or region that you're in, that are independently owned and operated and non-public companies. So you got those main groups, and now you're seeing, Expedia really has been, Expedia, it owns, Hotels.com and all these other different OTAs under one brand. So whether you're booking on Hotels or Expedia, really it's all going to the same company. You're seeing them, they've really dabbled with, of course, working with main brand properties. And now the shift, and like I said, if I had my notes with me, this is like a episode I've been kind of premeditating on and just kind of like thinking about. But if I had all my notes, I'd be able to give you names and numbers and all that kind of stuff. But you're really seeing Expedia is going to start taking a shift away from name brands and going more to the mom and pop shops because, to be honest, the name brands are all shifting away from OTAs, which I personally, as a name brand user, just because of the standard and the quality and the easy access through loyalty programs such as Choice or Holiday Inn. I'm a member on Choice Hotels, Intercontinental Hotels, Marriott. I'm not a Hilton member yet, thinking about it, but not thinking about it at the same time. And you're seeing them really focusing on their direct booking. So, of course, Expedia, in order to compete with that, needs to go to the mom and pop shops. Well, the mom and pop shops, bucket number three, you're going to see, a big change in rates and whatnot to make up for commissions and stuff in order to counteract. And eventually, you're going to see the same thing with them shifting away. They're going to focus on more direct bookings. Yes, touristy towns, such as in the town that I'm in, Seaside, you're going to see a lot of them kind of slowly shift away from that because they're going to build their own loyalty. There's guests that come there every year or come there every so often. And so, again, the OTA market, I was happy to read when the CEO of Expedia Group and the CEO of Accor were talking about their differences, but also their same similarities, is that they're both nervous. More Expedia than Accor is more nervous about Google because Expedia has gained about 1 million members total across all platforms, which is pretty huge accomplishment, especially, OTAs have only been around for so long. And to see, 1 million users across all platforms, huge growth, huge revenue, huge, change, and of course need it looks like in the market. But the big nerve-wracking change, which I've been predicting for a while, I almost put out an episode not too long ago, about a month or two, is that Google is getting into the OTA world. And man, I think all these places need to be shaking in their boots because Google has billions and trillions of members. Because what do you know? The first thing when I open up my laptop, I'm on Google. The first thing I open up my phone, I'm on Google. And so Google has the power to drown out these OTAs and, one, offer a lower commission rating to all these mom and pop shops and name brand hotels. So with that, what's going to happen to Expedia, Booking.com, Hotels.com, Kayak, all these places? They're going to drown out. They're going to literally suffocate from the ad space and all the other money they're going to have to put in just to show up on these hotel flight searches. And so I honestly think they should be scared because Google, one, I'm not an OTA fan. Like I've said, I don't like them. It just causes, for a person that focuses on guest experience, I've seen too many guest experiences be ruined through a third-party booking, whether they're a prepay or just a regular booking on Expedia or Booking.com, and the reservation's messed up. And also, not to get into the politicalness of it, but Expedia and these groups, these OTAs, are currently under a lawsuit in the UK for false advertising rates and fraud, where they'll post a really super low rate for a specific hotel or whatever, or room type, and you'll click it, you'll think you're getting the hotel for, let's say tonight, you're doing a last minute booking and you think you're getting, okay, perfect, I'm going to show up to my hotel. Really, they're showing you a rate for 2 weeks out or maybe a month out. And you show up and the hotel is either sold out or has rates that are twice the amount, and your reservation's not there. It's a hook. It's a catfish. That's the best way I could describe it, is that OTAs are the catfish of the hotel industry. And so with that, with Google coming in, Google is able to accurately place the rates and the room type and the amenities and everything else, and offer pretty much a way lower commission than what all these other OTAs are offering. So it's going to be an interesting change and an interesting shift in this the industry as we look at, of course, the talk of mini recession / big recession coming in. We have analytics and experts that, are predicting when it's going to happen, 2020, 2021, and then as the time goes on in 2019, it's getting closer and closer and closer, they say. But really, what's going to really affect this recession, I think, is going to be the OTA and Google market. Once Google fully launches their travel capabilities with hotels, offering lower commissions and, of course, drowning out Expedia and Booking.com, you're really going to I honestly think we're going to see a big shift in revenue and guest satisfaction overall across the board. So I'm kind of excited to see where this goes. As I predicted, not publicly, but I kind of predicted with some colleagues and friends of mine in the industry that really Google is going to take over. And I honestly think within the next 10 years, unless something happens in the next, let's say 5 to 10 years, that Expedia and all of them will be out of business or close to, due to Google being just the top dog and able to control the market. Really, it's going to be a big monopoly, and we're going to be seeing again a big shift in loyalty recognition and rewards with big brands in bucket 1 and 2. Of course, mom and pops are going to do the best they can, and we're not going to see any loss of mom and pop shops. That's going to continue to be a unique market, because independent boutique hotels are going to be able to offer a lot more in different ways to guests. And so we'll see how that goes. It's something I'm excited about. It's something that gets me, up in the morning with my cup of coffee and looking on the computer and kind of checking out what's going on. Of course, the Airbnb market is going to be huge, especially with acquiring Hotels Tonight. So we'll see how it all goes and how it pans out as more information slowly leaks through the system and to the media. And of course, on Slick Talk, I'll be here to bring it right to you. So thank you guys for listening to this episode. Thank you for listening to the new sponsorship. Of course, if you've listened to my podcast, you've heard that Flipboard is a sponsor, but we also now have the Black Tux. Now, I owned an event planning business and chauffeur company when I was in Spokane, Washington. And, the many things I did was weddings and formals. And so if you're looking for a tux rental, check out theblacktux.com/listen. You get $20 off your order. And it helps me out because it shows that people are listening to my podcast and the sponsorship. Also, I am trying to increase, of course, like all hotels, I'm trying to increase direct bookings / direct listens. So go ahead and listen to this podcast on slicktalkthepodcast.com if you can. If not, we got Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor, Overcast, all these other, podcast listening platforms. So go ahead and check it out on there. Also, leave me a review. I'm 19 episodes in. We are now in season 2. I am soon to be sponsored, or not sponsored, but featured on podcastguest.com. So go ahead and check it out. Support the podcast. Leave a review. I'm looking for all reviews. Anybody that listens to a review or leaves a review, I love you guys. Subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, check out the website, of course. I sell coffee. Part of the guest experience is good coffee. I'm a coffee fanatic. I have coffee every day, multiple times a day. I order coffee from Brazil, Ethiopia, and all these other great places. So check it out. On my website, you'll have slicktalkthepodcast.com/shop. You can see some coffee items out there for your hotel or for your business or for your work or for your personal pleasure. Thank you guys. Love the listeners, love the support. I'm sorry it's been a little while since I posted an episode, but more are to come. This was just a quick off the fly, ready to go episode, and I will have more for you in the future. I will be away out of state, really, next week in Palm Springs, California, taking a little vacation time for myself. So thank you guys again for supporting, listening, and I will be back soon and be back with some more great hotel hospitality news. Again, thank you guys so much. Enjoy my episodes. Leave any feedback you can, and I look forward to speaking to all of you again very soon.
Thank you so much for listening. We love your support and want to provide the best we can to all our listeners. So please find us online, social media, and on Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast.
What's up, guys? Thanks again for tuning into Slick Talk. This is Joe from PBT. If you want to check out our music, feel free to search Perfect by Tomorrow on Spotify and iTunes and all other major music streaming platforms. We have a new album in the works. Hopefully will be released in early June. We're excited to share new music with you guys. We've been working really hard at it. Thanks again for tuning in.
What's up, everybody? If you've gotten this far into the episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast, then you are amazing, and thank you so much for tuning in. We want to send you two places really quickly. If you can, check out the show notes and click the hospitality.fm link. Check out all of our other shows on the podcast network. And don't forget, if you have someone that you want to hear on the podcast, then fill out the guest fill out form so that way we can get them on the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you enjoy another episode of Slick Talk, the Hospitality Podcast.